Uh, First, I'll read something in my book, and after a short little thing that I wrote on why I wrote a book. So I'll start now, if I can find my page. Okay. We were shipped like cargo. In a few days, some of the patients who were up and around came into my room. They told me that there was an airplane leaving for Nunavik, Inuit land. It did not mean anything to me, as I had enough to think about. The next day we could hear the plane leaving. That same evening, the plane came back, and anyone who walked around to be up ran to the windows and stuck their heads out. Even the window of the room I was in packed with heads. Rear ends and bare feet were all I could see from my bed. They were all trying to see if they could see or spot passengers at the plane always flew over the hospital very low and land on the river in the front. They announced that they could see Inuit-looking people as it flew by. There was silence. I could not hear the noisy engine of the plane anymore. Everybody was stretching their heads out, trying to see, and finally they could see people coming up the bank of the hospital. Everybody wondered and hoped that it was not their husbands or the children. They all became silent, waiting for the next news. It was as though we were waiting for the thunder to peal. Anyone who was allowed up was standing at their door, wondering. I can't see.
It's okay, we'll put the lights on.
Yes. Anyone who was up was standing at the door waiting to see who was coming through the big doors down the hall. They knew that they had to come to this ward as they were women. I felt nothing in me, though I felt all their anxieties. Suddenly the silence was broken. I could hear a voice that was familiar, talking at the top of her lungs, announcing that she too had to come to play in bed, followed by her familiar laugh. Yet the tone of her voice was so sad. I knew and would know that voice anywhere. It was my outspoken aunt. A group of women came into my room, already bathed and in white gowns. They made full stop when they saw me. Even an Indian woman who was with them just stood there. In a few moments, The 3 empty beds were filled. Nobody spoke, and I began to cry. They sat on the bed, and all 3 began to soothe me. And they told me that they didn't want to see me any more tears, as they had seen enough when they were leaving home. My outspoken aunt kept telling me not to cry anymore over and over. This was the woman who was to be my future mother-in-law. She told me the news from home, a bit here and there, that my parents had heard that I went far away, meaning south. And here you are, she said. It's just to show that you cannot believe one word Qallunaat say. She questioned, commented, teased, advised, humored anyone who came to the door, to the room. We never knew what she was going to say next. She made us laugh. She got us to see the funny side of our situation. Sometimes, more or less, convincing herself. Then she would become sad and think about land, wondering how her children were, her husband, were they eating right? Did they have a commit for the coming winter? This is not how I hope to bring responsibility to my Ilse. She would say. She was talking about her adopted daughter, who was the real daughter of the other aunt who was with us in the room. The real mother never interfered, because that is our custom in the Inuit way of adoption. Now that I had seen the inside of the hospital and had nursed patients at Fort George, I was given a chance to view hospital life from the other side. Our days would start with breakfast, with washing and brushing our teeth. The ones that were up and able to go to the bathroom washed there. The others who were confined to their beds had to roll over to each side of the bed to allow the nurse to make the beds. I was that situation. Every week we had different faces catering to us. The doctors and nurses were all imported from the south. The ward I was in became very fond of one particular nurse, and so did I. She had such a gentle face and nature. She tended to us without appearing impatient. Her heart was in her work. She handed our basin without throwing them at us. She had a way of human heart, and we responded accordingly to her. When she was on duty, we behaved for her. Her blessedness kept us pleasant. When she was off duty, we were just the opposite. We wore long faces like the ones that were on duty. We sneaked around behind their backs. We ran to the windows to look out. They treated us like children, so we acted like children. The other nurse treated us like human beings, so we acted like human beings. The weekly arrival of train Moosney was exciting and saddening at the same time. Patients looked forward to it because other patients would arrive from Hamilton Sanatorium on their way back home. But it was also saddening because someone would leave. Nobody was ever prepared mentally when they were leaving. The doctors would bring with them a translator and tell the patients that he or she had to go south to Hamilton. No preparation, no warning, no choice, and no reason given why they had to go far away and to be cured. One afternoon, we boarded the train to Hamilton. There were 7 of us, 2 aunts, 2 men from Fort George, an Indian husband and a wife from Great Well River, and myself. My outspoken aunt never stopped talking, at times with humor, at times with sadness. Often she spoke to herself, saying, "My little family is just getting further and further away. Will I ever see them again? I wonder how long I have to be away. I'm not sure I will get home again. Most people that have gone away, I must not think about it if I want to get better." The rest of us kept quiet. We knew in our hearts that she spoke for all of us. She brought our feelings out into the open. All the way to Hamilton, I translated for them when our escort wanted to say something. We arrived Hamilton early in the evening and were met by a head nurse. We were put into ambulance and driven up the mountain where the hospital was. For the next few days, all I did was translate for all kinds of nurses and doctors back and forth between the rooms. The other 4 women were put next door. In my room, we were all Qallunaat. I did not see men who traveled with us. We were separated at the door. It seemed I never got to bed, just translate every day. I was beginning to think that there was nothing wrong with me, but I went through the whole examination again, like I did at most factory, and was getting used to it by now. Every time different doctor came, I wondered what would happen to me. Maybe he would tell, I would be told what was wrong with me at last. I translated for all the Inuit and Indians that I had arrived with. All were told what was wrong with them, what kind of medicine they would be on, and how long they could expect to be there. Me, I waited. My Qallunaat roommate began to urge me to ask when I was going to get needles like everybody else, to find out what was really wrong with me. "It is your body," they would say, "and you have a right to know." The culture believed that I was raised with, and their urging began to mix in my head. My culture told me not to ask, that in this situation I might cause the people who were taking care of me to alter the behavior completely, that I should accept what was happening and not force the hands that I was in to take different course. I waited while my roommate urged. I figured that the dogs would tell me when they were ready. I was x-rayed again, blood samples taken, and the question asked all over again. Did I have such a complicated sickness that did not know what to do with me? Finally, I was told that I had a spot in my left lung. I had known that at Fort George. It was not serious, but was enough for me to put to bed. I began to get needles. The first needle got me all kinds of lumps on my body, all over my body. My body felt numb and my ears were ringing. I sat on my bed and showed my arm to Qallunaat beside my bed. Her almost popped out and she rang the bell. The nurse came and I was given needle to get rid of the first one that I got. I was allergic to the medicine. I was given something else. Though I did not produce any more lumps, my body always felt numb after each needle. Every week I dreaded them. Some nurses did not hurt, but others gave needles that sent pain all the way down to my leg. We began to know which ones were not painful and which ones were. We called the days on which we were given needle short days. One short days we would wonder what nurse was coming. If it was the one that we knew who pained, we all said, "Oh no." I asked one day if I could get up and around more since I had to be up all the time to translate in different rooms. The answer was no. I could not, as I might cause my lung to get worse. I could not understand that, why I had to get up, why I would get worse if I walked a little more when I had to walk and strain my brain with translating. Yes, we were shaped like caribou and meant to be like caribou. Caribou. We kept our homes in our minds.
You're at 18 minutes, so you know.
Hi.
You're at 18 minutes.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought I had all the evening.
You want to read that?
Okay. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read why I wrote the book. For a long time I had an interest in writing, so I wrote poems, children's stories, and short stories. In 1996 I was living in St. John's, Newfoundland, and I heard about St. John's chapter of Newfoundland Writers Guild, so I began to going their meetings. At these meetings, people shared their writings and received encouragement, helpful suggestions about getting their work published. As I was not a Newfoundlander, people I met asked me how I like living in the South. Of course, I told them my culture shock when I arrived, first in Hamilton, Ontario, and then when living in Ottawa. These impressions really seemed to interest people I was speaking to, so I decided to write a play. It was titled Life Among the Qallunaat. Once the play was written and been discussed by a friend at Writers Guild, I was told it should be sent to Committee on the Canadian Drama Festival, whose next annual meeting and performances were to be held in St. John's. I was very pleased when my play was accepted for next festival, and that led to having to find cast and weeks of rehearsing. Thankfully, it worked out well, and later the play was performed 2 more times in Ontario, including at National Arts Centre in Ottawa. I would be invited to talk to schools in school, and that was nothing to me because I know my culture inside out. I would tell my husband when he got home from work that the students and the teachers too were very interested about Inuit culture and the North, and they asked lots of questions. So one day he said, "You know, Minnie, you have told me very interesting stories excuse me, about Cape Hope Island. Why don't you write a book? The story you have told me would interest lots of people in the South. You know, books about Inuit and Arctic are being published all the time. I thought about it overnight. My husband had an old manual typewriter that he had brought from England and that he used when he was going to university in Montreal. His older brother had used it too when he went to university, and it was second-hand when he had bought it. So that's how old that typewriter was. I had a hard time to find a ribbon. It was Remington portable, and ribbons were either not being made anymore or just very hard to find. But I kept looking. Then one day I found a store that had the right size ribbon. I wrote my book on it. Recently, my 2 good friends, Keavy Martin and Julie Rack, had given me a beautiful computer. I am forever thankful for that. Now about my book. My family had moved to St. John's and were now living in Burlington at that time. So I used the old typewriter and wrote about Cape Hope Island, James Bay, the land where I was born, and its people, who were my large extended family. My grandfather, Daldock, had founded the community on Cape Hope Island in around 1920. We Inuit believe Qallunaat discovered it and called it Cape Hope Island much earlier, but we called it Nunavik, the big land. Grandfather was always traveling looking for good hunting areas. He knew the Belch Islands very well, and had walked, sledded all over them. They were still called Qeqetqeit today, because after creation of Nunavik, the government of Canada recognized and used the original Inuit place names. The single community in Qeqetqeit, where the schools, stores, church, and other building houses are located, are named Sanagilok, which the Inuit choose to honor the name of the respected local hunter who many descendants live in Sanagilok today. One of my nephews, Anthony, is married to great-great-granddaughter of Sanagilok. In 1912, my grandfather was living in James Bay, and that is where he met Qallunaat called Robert Flaherty, who was working for Toronto Mining Company. Flaherty was looking for open deposits, and he showed my grandfather iron-rich rocks which he had brought with him. Flaherty must have been really happy when grandfather told him, "I know where these rocks can be found. I used to live on the island where those rocks are everywhere." Grandfather threw a map and company, seeing how extensive the Belchers are, sent Flaherty there for a year. To map the many islands and identify best places to mine the iron ore. Flaherty asked grandfather to be his guide for that year of exploration and mapping, so grandfather returned for that year to Qeqetqeit, where he had lived moving to James Bay before moving to James Bay. One of the largest bays in Qeqetqeit is named after my grandfather, Huitlaltok Bay. It is the southern end of the largest island among the many Belcher Islands, which is named Flaherty Island. I am sure some of you know the old silent film, Nanook of the North. You may have seen it. It was the film ever made about the Inuit, and Flaherty made it near Inukjuak, and that film made him famous. He gave up his Toronto job and became a filmmaker, and is widely known as a father of documentary films. Yes.
That are required by non-Inuit authors. One by Bernard Saladin d'Angers, who's a seminal early work on the Inuit of Qallunaat, and one by Toby Moran's The History of Angava and the Hudson Bay. I also insist that the university bookstore purchase all the books except Mini's, which comes from the University of Manitoba Press. All the other books come sold through Avatar Cultural Institute, so that as much of the money stays within the hands of Inuit people from beginning to
Una tusayin na kataktayo.
Kena.
Inna o kadakatakto ang utili si Concordia me o kakatakto pingasunigo o kadimakto ti katakto inun no titirakto si mayo kinukwa gay ang mamako kani tusayunnaqqinga taba
Sunamin.
qimiqquaga uqarimaartau qattartu inunnu titiqartau simayui Concordiami Irinniarpikussu University
Akka. Onkalauk sa mga itong tavan.
Akke teina anguti iliseegi teima uqarataartu qimiqquage uqarimaartau qattartu
Concordia me. Teka nilauk sa mga itong.
Irinniartangano ira irinniartitau qattartui ibe qimiqquagangani
University me. Edmonton me. Kaya ma katatunga uhatsunga inunni.
ila uqarimaartau qattartui qimiqquage
Teko inunni ilisamata omenga ilisaya katsutin.
Wattea uqautinia
Ukale.
yeah
I'll certainly include Makusi Patsauk's new book, new version of his book, We're Old Friends.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I'd love to talk a little after.
Absolutely.
Anna, thank you.
Sure, in the back, yeah.
I'm an editor.
Tusamang ito.
akke atinga te tuinnartanga
Hi.
atinga te igasuktanga apeqqutisaqam
Yeah, okay.
I'm an editor with Inhabit's Education and Habit Media. Really
titiqartau yuni titiqaqattartu editor
Tako halangara titiratataka.
okay wait
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Publishing has a reputation, and it's a very well-deserved reputation for being very white-dominated in the back end. So editors, graphic designers, production designers, directors, people. How do you think we can involve more in the back end publishing? So for sure as authors, but also as all the other people who are usually involved in making a book happen.
Is that for any of us or for me?
Yeah.
Okay,
wait
anybody.
I'm gonna
You go.
inna uqaqatartu qimiqquagari uqattartuigu ila editor teina uqaddaqatartu editor aperiqatartu qanu ila qallunaangummata ila qallunaarnutua teima sanaya uqattarpata aperiqatartu qanui inunni ikayurunnaqqa tusaattau tiarniarmata inui
Ima ikartoyunga inunni tako titiranneake. Tako ilakusinga inulema tukistia taunirtsain.
inunnu titiqartaugaangata Minnie said, I can't see you. If it's
Tako titirasmamata. Atortalo amatai. Kinatin ako tukistia sa katato inunni amalo inui ikarolo itukisia chamata.
she's talking about her book and how it was written by Inuit, by her, and it helps Inuit, but it was written from her Inuk perspective. Ona irin no aperiartortu Inuktito.
Now.
Ona.
It's the right, is it the left or right?
Ma,
Yes.
Google bunga,
Hi.
Google. Alver muto yunga amamana ilinartunga aduwa nunavut sibunik sabut mi aduwa mi ama ilinartitao hokpugo nunatak makani kuni inui pekko heri walau tangit ne amalo kanu akaungi gutiu walau tunillo ta ko iline akatigiyaka ukiu atau he iline le hatunu titagalaugan itana ta ko man teka man au kalima mata ama kano kawai iline akatawgata ta ko agalung ni kanu pivalle ho mangata kawai geng lau gata ta ko
Atuk tao tato.
o kalima tu man ta ko ninga titakalaugat ni kihani dana ilinarti chivo nakitaw tin ako kawyahalaw na ma o kalaw na to ko takwa government ko tema na iyak hilaw niku mata
Kavamako, Shirautum.
iyak hilaw to tema na o kalaw kabi ilinar niku law kimo mata te kumani amma nugaw niku tisugi o kaw hering ilaw ka nina igaw law kaman na mata te kumani nuy ma
Shivullipa, tako titra law sa mga Amerika, Kavamakunon, sa manipes mamiti talaw sa mayo.
Kau ya halaw tu
Yeah. Taima una pia publistika nila mau. Kanoy lu tawlang iton. Ubang lo akilog taon chow sunga tako nga tayo nala sivuli $5 may height silaw sa maray. Kavamakuno tayo may tawlo din.
Kuldo ay kau tiga wak na law gagi tako te to kalung ni ilin nga
Man nakamatsyan siya.
ilin nga ti taw kalulak to tako ni nga kihani le o ki mako ni te kan ni ilin na lak to nga nunavut sibunik sabut mi ilin nga to gulli nunatak makka ni ku ukyo tak tuluk mi taluk ta mi Alaska ako kito mi ama te kwa kitui kwa
Ubang kisyan tayo may luktalok sa mga ito nga mao ino titirat tayo may luktalok sa maron. Kavamakuno. Tamak dito kung alak to. Alas French. For one, tayo na angutig. Michael. At po yung takate nga pa nga. Titirate mano takain to.
Kinaw mangang ma kau tiga wak na law gagi takwa kalung niya okalimak takata te kan hilat to kawing mi ma
Okay.
Thanks. I feel like there is a lot of more that people want to say, and I know that Minnie's going to be here tomorrow, so you can ask her anything you want. And our whole panel is here, and we have a project we are working on. We have no time to talk about that today, but we are here for you to talk with you about that. Is there anything else that you want to say? At this point, I feel thank you for all of you for coming, and thanks especially to Mini Aodla for
Ako yan, Manil,